Weather modification, a topic that has fascinated and concerned people for decades. We'll be examining the history, technology, controversies, and potential future of attempts to control the weather.
This is Cryptic Accounts. By paranoid people, for paranoid people. Cryptic Accounts.
Welcome to Cryptic Accounts, a podcast by paranoid people for paranoid people. I'm your host, Patrick Ryan, and this week we're digging into weather modification. Joined as always by Dennis Cheney.
Hello.
Hi, Dennis.
What's up?
Hey, buddy.
I'm pumped for this one.
Dude, this is one we've talked about years ago.
We're getting more into it.
Yeah, there's, I feel like a lot more information that kind of came out that, or maybe it was just easier to find all the weird stuff that they're doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to dig into that. And as always, MC Mikey Mike.
Yo,
Michael Kruger.
what's going on, man? How you doing?
Dude, good. Happy to have you here.
Thank you.
It's-
Stoked to be here.
It's a boys' night on the podcast. Sam couldn't make it. She's getting ready. She's on vacation.
Ooh.
Sam needed a vacation after 3 weeks from the show.
I'm so excited for them, and she will be missed, but let's have some fun.
It's
dude.
gonna be fun.
Well, she's still alive.
Yes, she is still alive. Let me be clear about that. Sam is fine. Sam is fine. So while you're here, hit the like, subscribe, do all the things that help us out. Send us comments. We love reading them. Dude, I went through some of the old comments.
Yeah. It
Because
was good to see.
I mean, this is obviously a little in advance, like a little past the point, but like from the premiere, from when we came back with MK Ultra. And boy, I missed some comments. Like I'd seen them, but like went back through and around. I'm just like, man, happy to be there. The people that showed up for the premiere, thank you so much.
It was fun to see a lively chat.
Shout out to No Capitals and Nosferatu. Dude, you guys were a lot of fun in the comments. Like, really appreciated you being there. So yeah, every Wednesday this has been happening. Show up at the premiere and we're there. We want to talk to you guys. So be doing that. Yeah.
All right.
So you want to get into some weather modification?
Let's do it.
So the concept of weather modification, it's not a new concept. We've talked about it on the show early on, the weather control episode. You can go back and find that one from back in the COVID days when we were doing this over Zoom.
Yeah.
We've come so far, Dennis.
We've come so far. We're back in the same room.
Dude, yeah. So glad that's done. So that episode highlighted the chilling words of General George C. Kenney, who said in the 1940s, and I quote, "The nation which learns to plot the paths of air masses accurately and learns to control the time and place of precipitation will dominate the globe." That was back in the 40s.
Yep. That's how far back this goes. I don't know how anyone even considers this a conspiracy.
It's really
At this
weird
point.
at this point because you talk to people about it and they're like, yeah, cloud seeding's real, but like they're not like, it's basically anything in which the programming worked because that's exactly how they put it. And that we're going to delve into that in this episode. But that is kind of how they frame it is, look, we can do all the good things, but anything nefarious or that would be bad, we don't do that. But like the things that help people, that's what we're doing. We're your government. We're here to help. That's pretty much where they're at with it. But yet people are still like, yeah, I don't know if that's real.
That's the MO.
It's their programming's worked. I feel like overall it's really worked. The amount of people that have like, I've seen laugh at this, but they will also admit that cloud seeding is real. I'm just like, okay. All right. So we delved deeper and we found connections between weather control experiments and more recent phenomena, such as the chemtrail conspiracy theory and allegations of deliberate drought manipulation in California from 2011 to 2017. And really, we only scratched the surface of everything that has been going on for years. Our investigation raised troubling questions about the ethical implications of weather weaponization and the potential for its misuse on a global scale. The evidence suggests that the ability to control weather patterns could be a powerful tool in the arsenal of those seeking to dominate geopolitics in the 21st century. So now we're going to go even deeper. That's our recap. That's what we talked about before. Go back and listen to that episode. That one was a lot of fun. I did enjoy that episode. I mean, for as scary as it is.
Yeah.
So throughout history, humans have attempted to influence the weather through various means. And we can go all the way back to ancient cultures that performed rain dances and other rituals to appease weather gods. For example, the Native American Hopi tribe, which we've talked about, had an elaborate snake dance ritual that they believed could bring rains. And again, I'm just going to stop myself from veering off because every time I think about the Hopi Ant people, which was that one really set some people off when we did that episode. Like I went back and looked at comments. And I'm like,
really?
Yeah,
that's a controversial
there
one.
There's some people that argued about whether they were the people that were actually involved in that, where they lived. Like there was a lot of debate. Like people got a little hot about that one, so that was kind of interesting. I completely forgot about those comments, and I went back and read them, and I'm like, oh, okay. But I'm not going to veer off. I'm not going to veer off right now. So ancient China, what they called rain masters were employed by the government to predict and supposedly control the weather there also. During the Middle Ages, church bells were rung to ward off storms, a practice that unfortunately led to many bell ringers actually being struck by lightning.
Well, you know, when you're in the sky next to a big metal object.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. So they didn't really fully know how electricity worked or how lightning worked back then. But I feel like, you know, the first couple times it happened, that should have probably set off some alarm bells.
I wonder if that's what gave Ben Franklin the idea. He's like, hey, all these people keep getting struck by lightning in bell towers.
You know, I never connected that. I kind of wonder if that's where he got the idea.
I haven't either.
In the late 1800s, so getting into more modern times, the U.S. government issued patents for rain-making methods involving explosions and chemicals. One such patent, granted in 1891 to Louis Gothman, proposed firing explosives into clouds from balloons or towers. So they were just like shooting dynamite up in the sky, basically.
Okay. It's worth a shot.
I mean, it's going to disrupt things a little bit. I don't know what success they would have had with that, but I'm sure it had some impact, at least in the immediate area.
I've heard that like just heat itself
Yes.
can help cause weather patterns. So
Yeah, we're going to get into some of that because, yeah, that is something that they do to kind of manipulate molecules in the atmosphere to change what's going on with the weather. So during the Dust Bowl of the 1930s, desperate farmers tried rain-making techniques. Again, shooting stuff into the sky like cannons. They would shoot cannons at clouds. Because, I mean, you got a cannon. Let's shoot a big ball of metal up there.
Go to war with the sky.
That's right. Yeah, that's what we were doing. Or they'd set off like dynamite explosions just in general to see if that helped things.
Did it work? Did you, in your studies,
I mean, it's kind of hard to know. It affected things, but I don't know that it really did anything like that's quantifiable in any real way.
That's like controllable and repeatable?
Oh, definitely not controllable or repeatable. Did it influence the atmosphere? Yes.
Okay.
I mean, again, back to the heat and just something splitting things up in the atmosphere that's going to create some effect. But no, was it like documented like, oh yeah, this worked? Not really. Not from what I found. Like there was definitely people that kind of claimed that it did, but like I don't know how quantifiable it is really. So, I mean, overall, I'd say ineffective, more dangerous than anything, really.
Yeah, what goes up must come down.
Kind of. I mean, you know, you say that, and I'm like, where did the cannonballs end up?
Somewhere.
Because you hear about people shooting guns up in the air,
Yeah.
and then the bullets come back down, and then people die. Like, you're shooting cannonballs up there, just like somebody like several miles away is just like their house gets hit by a cannonball, and that's a bad afternoon. So, after all that, though, we move into like really modern times when modern scientific attempts at weather modification truly began in the mid-20th century. In 1946, scientists at General Electric, including Irving Langmuir and Vincent Schaefer, now these two were pivotal figures in the birth of modern weather modification. Langmuir, a Nobel Prize-winning chemist and physicist, had been working at General Electric since 1909. Now, okay. So you got Irving, Nobel Prize winner. His wide-ranging research laid the groundwork for many scientific advancements. These include atmospheric science. Like, this dude was into this stuff. So, and then Vincent, Langmeyer's research assistant at GE, he made the accidental discovery that actually led to cloud seeding. In 1946, while experimenting with creating artificial clouds in a freezer, which that experiment we could explain that one really far, but basically he made clouds in a freezer. That's like the first time people have done this. And he found this by dropping dry ice into the supercool cloud. This caused ice crystals to form instantly. So he gets all excited about this discovery, and the two of them quickly moved to real world testing. So like, we did it in a freezer, let's start making it happen in the real world.
So set the clock, 1946. That's 80 years ago.
Yes.
It was time to start experimenting.
Yes, but people don't think this is real. So just let that sink in for a second. The government's been doing it for 80 years, but there's nothing to this. Okay. All right. Yeah. So Schaefer conducted the first field experiment November 13th, 1946. So flying above Mount Greylock in Massachusetts, he dropped 6 pounds of dry ice into a cloud, which caused it to snow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
6 pounds of dry ice in November.
That doesn't sound like a lot.
It's not. It's really not. That's like a cooler's worth, basically. Not even a cooler, like a small cooler.
So we have immediate success.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So this marked the beginning of what Langmeyer would enthusiastically call weather control. 1946.
Good name.
Yes. So the success of this experiment led to increased interest and funding for weather modification research. On October 13th, 1947, projectcirrus conducted its most famous and controversial experiment. Scientists seeded a hurricane off the coast of Florida, so they did 6 pounds to make it snow in Massachusetts. In the first one. They dropped 80 kilograms of dry ice into a hurricane in Florida.
Wow.
A year later, they're like, 6 pounds is a lot. What if we did?
That's 176 pounds.
Yes. Thank you for doing that math real quick.
So that is 22 times more.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
It's a lot more.
You could already cause a snowstorm.
Yes. So they're like, you know what? We made snow. What is this going to do to a hurricane? And let's not try a little bit. Let's go all in on this. 170 some pounds. Let's drop that in there of dry ice. So shortly after seeding, the hurricane abruptly changed course and then made landfall in Georgia, which back then, again, in 1947, this is 1947 money, caused $2 million in damage. And I'm not sure I think it's about a 12 times move from there if I was going to guess. So
Let me look it up.
I'm guessing it's about a $24 million amount of damage today, if not more.
That's equivalent to, it's hard to read big numbers. Yeah, 28 million.
$28 million. $28 million worth of damage with 170 some pounds of dry ice in a hurricane.
Ooh.
So how do you think the public took this?
Oh, not well. I've actually heard of this particular story, so I'll let you tell it. But.
Yeah, Project Cirrus. I mean, this is where it all started, and this is where all the theories about weather modification come from, the 40s. And we're gonna get into it, but they didn't stop there. So public outcry, legal threats, but investigations from the government showed the storm had begun turning before seeding. So they did it, and then they're like, no, we looked into it. It was already definitely turning before we dropped all that dry ice into it. We did make it snow the year before with a lot less, but this was definitely not real.
70. Wow. Okay.
So the aftermath of this, again, they're saying this had no effect, but GE pulls out support for the project and temporarily halts weather modification. GE's like, whoa, we're done.
Well, there were lawsuits.
Yeah, GE got scared.
Yes.
They got scared. So, despite its controversial end, Project Cirrus laid the groundwork for future weather modification experiments, including Project Storm Fury in the 1960s.
That doesn't sound good.
It's a great name, right? It's like, we can't control the weather. Project Storm Fury.
Yeah. This is a dead end. We can't. Project Storm Fury.
You can tell in that 15, 20 years, they're like, so this could be a weapon, right?
Oh, yeah.
This could be a weapon. Because 60s, we're in the Cold War now. This is the Cold War. So Project Storm Fury, officially presented as a failed scientific project, was in reality a covert government program that successfully developed weather control technology. From 1962 to 1983.
Yep.
21 years they ran this.
But it was a failure.
It's definitely a failure, though.
That's every secret government program. Is it goes on way too long.
Way
to be a
too long,
failure.
and they're like, yeah, it didn't work at all, but we kept doing it.
No, they probably just changed the name to like Project Hurricane Punch. And now it's even worse.
Project Hurricane Punch. So this was under the guise of hurricane modification research. The U.S. military perfected the techniques to manipulate massive storm systems. The official narrative claims the project was abandoned due to ineffectiveness, but this is merely a cover story. In truth, Project Storm Fury achieved its goal, giving the government the ability to steer and intensify hurricanes at will. The silver iodide seeding was just a smokescreen for more advanced electromagnetic and chemical interventions. But why the secrecy? Weather control is the ultimate geopolitical weapon. By manipulating hurricanes, the government can target specific regions, influence elections, damage infrastructure, and even wage covert weather warfare against foreign adversaries. Recent hurricanes like Helene and Milton provide evidence of this ongoing program. Their unusual paths and intensities bear the hallmarks of artificial manipulation. As Marjorie Taylor Greene boldly stated, quote, yes, they can control the weather. The government's end quote. The government's denials only fuel suspicion about what they're really capable of. While mainstream scientists and media outlets rush to debunk these claims, those who understand Project Storm Fury's true legacy know better. The technology exists. We're just not supposed to know about it. Again, they just keep doing it, but they're like, it doesn't work, but we're still trying.
It's a common theme on the show. That's why I said Project Hurricane Punch, because they never stop anything. If they have it in their head they can do something, they're going to keep trying and trying and trying.
And we'll just keep printing money to do it.
Infinite money.
Yes. So, for more clarity, weather modification techniques generally fall into a few main categories. These are the things they admit they can actually do. And like I said earlier, these are all good things, nothing bad. There's cloud seeding, which they admit they can do, which people still kind of say they can't do, but they're literally going, they can do it. And I'm just like, you're all just brainwashed. Like the propaganda works. So cloud seeding is introducing particles like silver iodide into clouds to induce precipitation. Hurricane modification, again, these are the things they admit they can do. The government says we can do this. In hurricane modification, it only attempts to weaken or steer the hurricane. We're never intensifying them or trying to direct them in any way. Well, I guess with steering,
yeah.
You could say that could be bad, but we're only doing that in the good way.
Oh.
There's fog dispersal, which we see a lot, and we're going to get into it more later. But we use chemicals or heat to clear fog from like airports, and we know that's a real thing. They do it all the time. There's hail suppression, which is trying to reduce the size of hailstones to minimize damage. Drought mitigation, this is an effort to increase rainfall in arid regions. So those are all the good things. We can only do the good things.
So I just looked this up, and I don't know if you'll get into it, but China, the Philippines, Japan, Taiwan, and Vietnam all have year-long hurricane seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So if we were ever in a conflict with China,
we could always weaponize a hurricane.
yeah. We could just make the Taiwan Strait a permanent hurricane zone.
Or just angle it towards their military bases.
Which would be pretty awesome, actually.
I mean,
If you had to.
if it's on your side, it's good. But I mean, the other side, and we're going to get into it more later, but like everybody's trying to do this.
I'm
It's
sure.
not just the U.S. that's like doing this.
Oh,
Like,
I'm sure.
every country is trying to do this.
And we're probably behind.
Maybe. I mean, they've all got advancements. Just some countries tout it more than others. Like Russia speaks a lot about it. China speaks a lot about it. But again, none of this is real.
That's the other thing is other countries always just admit this stuff.
Yeah.
They're always just like, yeah, we do it. I remember China talking about it during I think it was the 2008 or 2012 Olympics. And they're just like, yeah, we fixed the weather.
Yeah, they did.
So that we could have a nice
I think we
Olympics.
get into that. I'm trying to remember if I actually, yeah, that's a thing they admit. I feel like I note that later, but yeah, that's a definite thing that Russia said the same thing. I think for the Olympics at one point or something they had going on. I think it's later on.
Sure.
But yeah. So the most common and well-studied method is cloud seeding. The basic principle involves introducing condensation nuclei into clouds to encourage the formation of rain or snow. Now, there's two primary types of cloud seeding. There's static cloud seeding, and this involves dispersing silver iodide or other substances into clouds. The silver iodide particles act as condensation nuclei, attracting water vapor to form ice crystals, which then grow and fall as precipitation. Now, cloud seeding operations typically use aircraft to disperse the seeding material, although ground-based generators and even rockets have been used in some cases. Now, silver iodide is a chemical compound with the formula AgL, known for its unique ability to mimic the structure of ice crystals. The process works by introducing these silver iodide particles into supercooled clouds where they act as ice-forming nuclei. Water droplets in the cloud freeze onto these particles, growing progressively larger until they form snowflakes or raindrops that are heavy enough to fall as precipitation. Now, while silver iodide is the most common agent used in cloud seeding, other substances like dry ice, like we talked about, and table salt have also been employed. The effectiveness of silver iodide seeding has been demonstrated in controlled experiments, with one study estimating it could increase the snowfall by up to 20% under ideal conditions. However, the use of silver iodide in weather modification is not without controversy. Some critics raise concerns about potential environmental impacts and ethics of altering weather patterns. Despite these debates, silver iodide remains the primary tool in cloud seeding operations across 9 western U.S. states and countries like China and the United Arab Emirates. So the other way cloud seeding is done is called dynamic cloud seeding. Now, dynamic cloud seeding is a more advanced and controversial form of weather modification that aims to enhance vertical air currents within clouds, potentially leading to increased precipitation. Unlike static cloud seeding, though, which simply introduces particles into existing clouds, dynamic cloud seeding attempts to alter the cloud's internal structure and dynamics. The process involves injecting large quantities of silver iodide or other nucleating agents into the updraft of a growing cumulus cloud. This is said to release latent heat, straightening the updraft and drawing more moisture into the cloud system. Theoretically, this could lead to larger, longer-lasting storms with significantly increased rainfall. Now, while officially dynamic cloud seeding is described as experimental and limited in scope, some theorists argue it's being used covertly for more sinister purposes. They point to recent extreme weather events as evidence of its deployment. Like, for example, the record-breaking rainfall in Dubai, which happened in April 2024, which saw 2 years worth of rain fall in 24 hours. 2 years. All the rain they would get in 2 years, one day.
Oh.
That's not normal. This raised suspicion that the UAE's extensive use of cloud seeding. So Another example, devastating storms in Southern California in February 2024 led to accusations that the Santa Ana Watershed Project Authority's cloud seeding program was responsible for all those floods and landslides. Because that's the whole thing they're doing out there.
I mean, these are places that need water.
Yes. And maybe they're trying to do it to help, but they don't fully know what they're doing. Or maybe it's more sinister and they want to devastate those areas.
This seems like one of those topics where we almost shouldn't. You can imagine how it would help it could help the world,
Yes.
but it's almost something we shouldn't be messing with because there are all these natural systems we don't necessarily fully understand. And the odds of creating a flood or something bad happening seem way higher than just us managing the weather. The earth is so big and we are so small. I'm going out on a limb. I'm against it.
It's a strong stance you're taking, Dennis. So another example, because I'm with you on that. Like,
Yeah.
I do think maybe some of the people that are involved in this is like they're trying to help,
Oh, I'm sure.
but they're not going to admit when they mess it up either.
No.
Which leads to the question of were you trying to help or were you trying to devastate areas?
Well, a lack of accountability
yes.
usually is the problem. If there was full accountability, I might feel a little bit differently about it because, and I did look this up. So I went to NOAA.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they actually have a section on their website on weather modification project reports.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the screen pulled up here, but there are U.S. laws from 1972 that require any person who's doing weather modification activities to file reports with NOAA. I can't figure out how to access them yet.
Yeah, if you can figure it out, because I saw that, and yeah, it's not readily available from
This
what
is
I saw.
odd.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, we should be reporting it, but also we don't really want to report it.
This caught me though because listen to some of the we have obviously cloud seeding. They have a
Yes.
whole section on that. They also include using fire, radiation,
Mhm.
releasing electrically charged radioactive particles into the atmosphere, applying shock waves and sonic energy sources
Yep.
or acoustic sources,
Yep.
aircraft propeller downsplash. That one's not exciting. Lasers.
Mm-hmm.
This is all just flat out on their website that you have to. So if nobody was doing this, why'd they be like, oh, by the way, when you use the lasers to change the weather, you got to file form number. I'll just say the form.
Yes. Do it.
Let's see here. Hold on. It comes from 15 USC section 330. And then they have the form on their website. It's form number 17-4. That's the form you fill out if you want to shoot lasers.
That's the laser form.
That's the laser form to create weather. We have a laser form, so somebody's doing this.
But it's all
we don't
crazy,
have a form. Yeah, we don't have a form for something that doesn't exist.
And that's what's like the amount of people that don't think this is happening at all. I'm just like, dude, they have forms for it. Like
17-4.
Yeah, I can tell you right now, this is going to lead to like multiple episodes.
I'm looking into some of these reports. There's a 1979 report they gave to Congress. I was just looking at this one letter, Weather and Climate Modification Report on the Special Commission on Weather Modification from the National Science Foundation. Hop to page 36 here. It says, the commission believes it would be highly desirable for the government of the United States, in connection with the expansion of its program of weather and climate modification, to issue a basic statement on its views and relationship of this national effort, interests and hopes, possible apprehensions for the rest of the world. Early enunciation of the national policy embodies two main points. One, it's the purpose of the United States, with normal and due regard in its own basic interest, to pursue its efforts in weather and climate modification. Two, the United States recognizes the interests and concerns of other countries, welcomes and solicits cooperation directly and through international agreements for human well-being in our efforts. So it is United States policy. There is a form. They're using lasers to affect the weather. I'm done. Go ahead.
Yeah, Marjorie Green Taylor starts sounding a lot less crazy when
Oh,
you start really digging into it.
She was talking about lasers.
Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, there's all that. And it's just like, and you still think this isn't happening? Like, really? They came up with forms for it. When you're going to do it, you need to fill this out. But yeah, we're not doing it. Definitely not. And everybody's got very, positive plans with all this. There's definitely nobody nefarious in this at all. And even if there aren't, like the fact that that's still happening. Yeah, this is crazy. It's crazy.
It's crazy. This is crazy. The amount of documentation in it. We could probably do 10 shows on this.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to come up more and more because I think more and more of it's happening and it's becoming more and more obvious. And because they're advancing it so far, I don't know how much longer they're going to be able to make people. This is going to be another alien thing in like 10 years. We're like, yeah, so that's real.
It's part of our general distrust too, like the reason we have for distrusting the government. This is something that came up with and I'm sure eventually we'll do it, the JFK files. But you could say it about this too. When there's this much documentation, when you have the weather laser form, you should be way more forthcoming about other things. So like when it deals with, for instance, contrails or chemtrails or whatever, even if there is no chemtrail conspiracy, you should give people way more data for when they believe crazy stuff. Because otherwise, you can't just sit back in your armchair and call people crazy conspiracy theorists because there's too much documentation.
I mean,
you can't just say only believe the things we tell you, but then not be forthcoming and not understand why people might draw conclusions.
Well, it's classic gaslighting.
Listen to the way politicians talk. Politicians and the media write at like what is it, a 13-year-old level? Something like that.
I think that's about right.
It's some level. That's what they think of you, is that you think like a child. But then they just laugh at you.
Yes.
If you take something like this and you draw obvious conclusions, they're just like, well, you're stupid. Only believe what we tell you to tell you exactly what to think and exactly the contours of this program. So I can just get infuriated on any topic in the show because that's the government's attitude about stuff. And it's like, even if you're not doing anything bad, you need to be more forthcoming. You need to talk to us like talk to me like I'm 12, because that's what you do during the campaigns. So tell me like I'm 12 why you're not causing these weather events. Don't just say, shut up, you're stupid. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I feel like you just explained why we do this show.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, anyway.
So another one, unusual paths and intensities of recent hurricanes, like I mentioned, of Helene and Milton, have fueled speculations about artificial manipulation of storm systems. So proponents of these theories argue that dynamic cloud seeding could be used not just to increase rainfall, but to intensify storms, steer weather systems, or even create extreme weather events for geopolitical purposes. They suggest the technology has advanced far beyond what is publicly acknowledged, again, because they publicly acknowledge that they're doing this.
Well, the iodide, you said that was the 40s, right?
Yes.
So there's no way they haven't found something.
They found better. They're using lasers now. We got a form for it.
We got the laser form.
We got the laser form. So potentially, this gives governments or organizations the ability to weaponize weather. While mainstream scientists and officials vehemently deny these claims, the secrecy surrounding some weather modification programs and increasing frequency of extreme weather events, because we're seeing a lot of them now, this is what continues to fuel suspicion and debate about the true capabilities of applications of dynamic cloud seeding. And the potential military application of weather modification, this is something that's long been a concern for many. And again, you think it sounds crazy until you go back to the Vietnam War, when the U.S. military conducted, and again, well documented, you can find them, they're declassified documents, look up Operation Popeye. This was a cloud seeding operation aimed at extending the monsoon season and mudding up of the Ho Chi Minh Trail during the Vietnam War. So this operation ran from 1967 to 1972 and involved over 2,600 cloud seeding missions. Aircraft would disperse silver iodide and lead iodide. So they're dropping lead into the atmosphere too, which is great for people. Like, do you remember when we did the lead episode?
Yes. That's one of the scariest.
We were a guest on a show.
Yes. I wish I could remember any of the details of that show.
Oh, man. He did.
I just remember he terrified me about lead.
Oh, man. Brian scared me of lead. So I know I have lead in my body. Because it's everywhere.
Lead and radiation.
Yeah, lead and radiation. Lead and radiation. So aircraft, again, 1967 to 1972, these aircraft would disperse silver iodide in the 60s and 70s and lead into the clouds at the aim of increasing rainfall and to create muddy conditions that would impede enemy supply lines. Operation Popeye was not the only weather modification effort. There have been claims that the Soviet Union developed weather control technologies, including the ability to create droughts or floods. However, these claims are difficult to verify because it's the Soviet Union at the time. Like, they know the US is doing it, so they have to fire back that they're doing the same thing. But it seems like they did have some success. Like, they were trying it at least. And they had a tendency back then. Again, maybe it's propaganda and what we got on that. Oh, yeah, they say way more than they can actually do. Because, I mean, they were trying to scare us as much as we were trying to scare them.
Right.
And if we were able to do all this, I would think they were probably having some success as well. So the use of weather modification as a potential weapon led to significant international concern. In response, the United Nations General Assembly approved the Environmental Modification Convention, (ENMOD), in 1976.
All right. So we're still within that 83 time zone.
Yes.
Okay.
So all the nations got together and like, hey, so we should all agree that we're not going to mess with the weather. And everybody's like, but also we're messing with the weather.
It's like everything else.
Dude, when you look back over the last 100 years, like everybody agrees not to do all the messed up things and they all do all the messed up things.
The checklist.
Yeah. It's like you want everybody else to promise not to do it while you're doing it because you know how scary it is. So this treaty, ENMOD, it prohibited the use of environmental modification techniques for military or other hostile purposes. The U.S. and Soviet Union were key players in negotiating this agreement, reflecting the seriousness with which weather modification was viewed as a potential weapon. Despite the ENMOD convention, concerns about military applications of weather modifications still persist. Some researchers and theorists argue that covert weather weapon warfare programs continue, pointing to unusual weather patterns or natural disasters as potential evidence.
Well, I hate to interrupt again, but it just occurred to me when we were talking about the forms, and that whole page is basically about private industry. It occurred to me that with UFOs, the allegation is we get the material, we give it to Boeing, Lockheed Martin, so that there is no accountability because Lockheed Martin didn't sign a weather modification treaty.
Sure didn't.
GE never signed an international treaty. They don't
didn't
have FOIA. So
yeah, they can hide all that stuff.
There's always the military-industrial complex lurking behind these things.
Well, I mean, we can go back to a few episodes ago with MK Ultra where they like enlisted universities and stuff to do their bidding and set it up to shell companies.
Yeah. I'm sure this is happening at universities.
It's the same playbook. They just run it kind of slightly different ways, but this is the thing that works that we can hide behind. So, HARP, Dennis.
Uh-oh.
And we're going to do an episode. We're going to do an episode on this soon. It might be the most infamous weather modification project. It's far from the only one. Countries around the world have invested in weather modification research and operations. So let's go through what the other countries are saying they're doing. You brought up China earlier. So China, who again much more open about it. And you were right. They're much more out there with what they're doing. And so China announced plans in 2018, China announced massive plans for massive weather control machine covering an area. So the machine that they're doing, it's the size of Alaska.
What? Okay.
The entire state of Alaska, they're doing that. They've got that part of China, that size, dedicated to machinery to modify their weather.
Okay.
This system uses a network of fuel-burning chambers installed high on the plain of the Tibetan Plateau, high up on the Tibetan Plateau, to produce silver iodide for cloud seeding. The project aims to increase rainfall over an area of 1.6 million square kilometers.
A lot of China is arid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got some drought problems.
I can see why they'd want to do this.
And yeah, they don't have to explain or argue with their people as much, so they can just be like, hey, the size of Alaska, this is now cloud seeding. This is what we do here. We're going to burn things and shoot it into the atmosphere. And you can find videos of it. It's massive things that are just billowing out smoke from burning silver iodide.
Man.
Burning, steaming. I'm not, you know what I'm talking about? Have you seen those videos?
No.
They're pretty crazy. Like, look it up.
Okay. Yeah, keep going.
So let's move over to Russia because we've talked about Russia a lot. So the country has a long history of weather modification, including attempts to clear skies for public events and reduce rainfall or snowfall in cities. In 2017, Moscow spent $1.3 million to disperse clouds ahead of a public holiday celebration. Russia has also been accused of using weather modification to ensure good harvests. Although these claims, again, very difficult to verify because it's Russia saying it, and obviously, like, we're gonna make.
We make them the bad guy and everything.
I mean, they are. That's the way they get portrayed, and we're not gonna get into that.
I got something a little more close to home.
Okay.
So, in case you don't know, we're in Kansas City. I Googled Kansas weather modification program.
I bet we're doing it out on the plains.
It's a thing.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it is.
Okay.
Tell me about it.
I opened up a webpage from Groundwater Management District 1. Advantages of being in the Western Kansas Weather Modification Program. Hail suppression. We've helped protect crops and wildlife with 27 to 35% hail reduction. We've helped increase the aquifer. Benefit to cost ratio, 37 to 1. Turning your money into more money for Western Kansas. This is a flyer they have to join the Kansas Weather Modification Program. They have they have pictures of the plains. They claim that it costs 6.2 cents per cropland acre. They've broken this all down. This is just Kansas. How the program works. How cloud seeding works. The Kansas Weather Modification Program. Cloud seeding is a tool that helps migrate hail and damage and protect crops. So they're steering storms. Mm-hmm. Since hail is itself ice that is produced only by vigorously developing thunderstorms, it's certain that such clouds are cold enough to be responsive to modern cloud seeding techniques. It's all right here, man. Objectives, cloud seeding, decrease occurrence of crop damage, optimize area rainfall by seeding selective. We're in.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're in eastern Kansas, but.
Well, but I mean, weather here has gotten, I mean, for those who, like, if you grew up in one area, weather has dramatically changed over the last 20 years, almost any place you live.
Just type in any state and weather modification.
There's stuff going on there?
Yeah, here's the Missouri Ag Connection, seeding the skies, harvesting rain. That's from 2022. For a millennia, humans have tried everything from prayer to dancing to summon a rain from the skies. Wow. Yep. They give the numbers of the rain they think they've created. But again, you just got to look for it.
There's nothing to this, and it's all positive. We're only doing good things with it because that's the only way this could be right.
You could just pick a state. I'll go Wisconsin Weather Modification Program. Yeah, it's usually part of their water conservation programs in every state.
Yeah, I mean that's a good thing to put it under. Again, they advertise it as the positive thing they're gonna get out of it.
Here's a Wisconsin legislator: applications for professional weather modification licenses shall be submitted and forms prescribed by this department.
Perfect. There's
type in wherever you're from, type in the state and weather modification program, and within the first 10 results, every state is doing this.
So if you're listening, watching, type your state in, your country in, whatever. Write us a comment about what's going on there. I'm just kind of curious what you all find. I'm going to move on because we got more countries to cover.
Yes.
Just of the countries that have admitted they're doing it. I'd mentioned the United Arab Emirates. So the UAE has invested very heavily in cloud seeding operations to increase rainfall in their desert nation. In 2017, the country conducted 242 cloud seeding operations that they've acknowledged and admitted to. The UAE's National Center of Meteorology and Seismology has reported that these efforts have increased annual rainfall by up to 30% in some areas. That's what they say. Like, again, the positive thing they did, not maybe the problems that happened while they were doing that, like 2 years worth of rain falling in 24 hours. But that was an act of God. They didn't do anything with that. Thailand. Now, this country has used cloud seeding to combat drought also and air pollution. In 2018, Thailand's Department of Royal Rainmaking, I love that name though.
I do love that.
Department of Royal, I didn't even give it the full thing. Department of Royal Rainmaking and Agricultural Aviation, which is a weird second part to that. They conducted cloud seeding operations to alleviate severe smog in Bangkok. Australia, this country has conducted cloud seeding operations into the Snowy Mountains region since the 1950s to increase snowfall for hydroelectric schemes. Tasmania has also used cloud seeding to increase rainfall for hydroelectric power generation. India, this country has experimented with cloud seeding to address drought conditions, particularly in the state of Maharashtra. I probably said that wrong. I'm sorry, India. In 2017, the state government allocated $4.5 million for cloud seeding projects. Again, this is what these governments are admitting they're doing. Like, they've admitted it publicly. This isn't even a conspiracy theory. This is on their websites and their documents. These efforts demonstrate the global interest in weather modification technology, both for addressing environmental challenges and potentially as a tool for geopolitical advantage. You know, if they were trying to, do something nefarious, which of course they're not doing, because it's only good stuff, because that's the world we live in, because everything's good.
This took me 2 minutes. Okay, you just said everything. The government keeps saying over and over that it's not creating storms or steering them. Okay, I went to the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists. They're the people who do the doomsday clock. Mm-hmm. They have a thing from 2022 that's all about the risk of doing this. Mm-hmm. And they say that while cloud seeding is often described as creating rain, it can be more accurately described as moving rain from one location to another, redistributing risk. And it says that we don't know the full impact of doing this on a large scale, even though we do.
It depends on what you classify as your threat, too, on like mitigating risk. Is your risk a people or population that you want to exacerbate in some weird way?
Despite claims of only local impacts, cloud seeding is already being coordinated at a regional scale. If adopted widely, cloud seeding could be used politically to deprive certain regions of rainfall as a weapon of war, to claim water that would otherwise be widely redistributed. Mm-hmm. In 2020, China announced Sky River Plan to divert water vapor from the Yangtze River Basin to the Yellow River Basin, a cloud seeding initiative that would cover an area half the size of India. Raises large governance questions about how to ethically divide water and who controls the sky. So we can steer. By its nature, what these scientists are saying is that it's steering water.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But again, this is all just a big conspiracy, and it's not real, and you get laughed at when you talk about it. Cool. So I want to dig into hurricanes now.
Yeah, the big one.
I want to dig into the hurricanes a little bit. So hurricane modification. More recent proposals for hurricane modification. These include how they're going to do it, like using aircraft to drop water-absorbing polymer into storms' eyes to reduce again, this is what they admit they're trying to do. Nothing nefarious. We're going to try and lower the hurricane. We don't know how to make them worse or steer them, but like we're trying to get rid of them. That's all the only thing we're ever going to try and do. So they use polymer to try and reduce the intensity. They deploy large arrays of wave-powered pumps to bring cooler water to the ocean surface, potentially to weaken the hurricane. They also use high-energy lasers to heat the upper atmosphere, potentially steering the hurricane's path. So we could dissipate them,
lasers.
but also we could use some lasers to like veer it different directions. Now, while official sources maintain that hurricane modification is currently not possible, recent events and technological advancements and, forms you fill out have fueled speculation about covert weather control programs. Now, in more recent time, in October 2024, I don't know if you remember hurricanes Helene, and Milton. They struck Florida in very quick succession, causing widespread devastation. The unusual timing and path of these storms led some, again, like back to Marjorie Taylor Greene, to suggest they were artificially manipulated. And again, Greene said they can control the weather. She did this in a social media post. So what did this all lead to, though, when that happened? So I don't know if you remember Asheville, North Carolina, got hit.
Oh, yeah.
So these hurricanes took a crazy path and like diverted, much like back to the original hurricane cloud seeding.
Yeah.
With the dry ice. It went from Florida to Georgia and then up to North Carolina on this one. The destruction in Asheville was staggering, with over 35 residents losing their lives and 600 reporting missing in Buncombe County alone. Floodwaters rose an estimated 6 feet inside buildings, causing catastrophic damage to homes, businesses, and infrastructure. Interestingly, these hurricanes struck just as North Carolina's lithium industry was experiencing a resurgence.
Oh, no.
Now, the area around Charlotte, which is about 130 miles east of Asheville, is home to significant lithium reserves. I don't know if you know anything about lithium. You need those for batteries to fuel cars.
That's right.
And you need a lot of it.
A lot of our military wants to move that direction, too.
Yes. Yeah. They do. They do, Dennis.
Rare earth minerals.
Yeah. So this area in Carolina is known as the 10 spodumene belt. Companies like Albemarle Corporation and Piedmont Lithium, also around this time, right before those hurricanes hit, literally within a month before the hurricanes hit, they made substantial investments in lithium mining and production in that region.
It's probably underneath people's homes.
Yes, it actually was, Dennis. That's weird. You would think that.
Wow, what an odd investment to make.
Yeah. About a month before, they bought so much. Like, they spent money, like, getting ready. Like, we're going to really invest in this region. Oh, that's crazy. Your house got wiped out? Weird.
What a weird coincidence.
So the aftermath of the hurricanes has been marked by an alarmingly inadequate federal response. Shocking. So while FEMA claims to have approved over $860 million in assistance for Hurricane Helene survivors, many residents report being severely undercompensated for their losses. So I don't know if you remember, the Biden administration sent $750 in immediate assistance offered through FEMA, which is, I don't know if you know how much a house costs now.
That's get out of town money.
Here's a hotel and some gas money to get out of town money. Turns out $750, pretty insufficient compared to the extensive damage to homes that was sustained there. There's critics that argue that the federal government's response has been intentionally slow and inadequate. Biden's request for nearly $100 billion in emergency disaster aid, which was made in November 2024, has, as of January, of 2025 had yet to be fully approved by Congress.
Oh, no.
This left and still has left many communities in limbo. To be able to rebuild or move back in, like they can't go back into it. It's like a disaster zone. Like they're not allowed to, like they basically can't go back to their homes.
Right.
The situation has forced many residents out of their homes with no clear path to recovery. In Asheville, a group of veterans was displaced when floodwaters destroyed their housing facilities, the Veterans Restoration Quarters. Despite promises of aid, many of these veterans are still without permanent housing. As recovery efforts drag on, there are growing concerns about long-term displacement and the erosion of communities. Many residents unable to afford repairs with that $750 they're also facing repeated denials for assistance. They're being forced to abandon their homes and their communities. This exodus, it threatens to permanently alter the social and economic fabric of the affected region, which would make it really easy if you wanted to get in there and get that lithium underneath those homes if there's nobody there. Theorists suggest that the inadequate response and the pushing out of residents, it might be intentional, possibly linked, like I said, to the valuable lithium reserves in that region. They argue that the hurricanes and subsequent mishandling of aid could be a part of a larger plan to clear the area for expanded mining operations. The impact of nascent lithium industry in North Carolina could have far-reaching consequences. With the growing demand for lithium and electric vehicle batteries and energy storage systems, any disruption to domestic lithium production could affect the broader goals of enhancing U.S. energy securities and reducing dependence on foreign sources of critical minerals. As the 2025 hurricane season approaches, the inadequate response to Helene and Milton raises serious concerns about the nation's preparedness for future disasters, the government's commitment to supporting affected communities, and the potential for weather manipulation technologies to be used for geopolitical or economic gains. While mainstream scientists continue to dismiss these claims, the increasing frequency and intensity of extreme weather events coupled with the apparent mishandling of disaster response, this continues to fuel suspicion and debate about the true nature of these catastrophic storms.
So they say they stopped in 83.
Yep. They totally stopped 42 years ago. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
I just found a document from 2008. David Skaggs Center in Boulder, Colorado. It's the Department of Homeland Security organizing with NOAA and the Global System Division of the Earth Systems Research Laboratory. That is a scary name for something. They had a workshop that, quote, this is consistent with the Homeland Security Act of 2002. So 9/11 somehow embroiled in this. The Department of Homeland Security's mission to respond to threats and hazards to the nation and the Science and Technology Directorate goal to accelerate delivery of enhanced technological capabilities to meet requirements and fill capability gaps. The workshop, this was a workshop that the Department of Homeland Security had.
That's a fun way to put it.
Number 1, identify viable hurricane modification hypothesis and further study. That's it. That's number 1. Define potential Department of Homeland Security specific hurricane modification factors. They've just never stopped.
No, they've definitely never stopped.
My Lord, the number of attendees here, all these people from all these universities, all the.
Yeah, you getting upset, Dennis?
We signed the treaty.
Yeah,
we just.
Treaties don't matter. I mean, we signed. Go back to the
Not
MK
really.
Ultra. We said after World War II, we're not going to do anything crazy, and then MK Ultra happens, and then Reagan's like, we're going to stop, and then all the other weird stuff happens. When they say they're going to stop, it just means they're going to find another way to hide it for another 20, 30 years until you figure it out again, and then they're going to say, we're sorry, and we're going to stop again, and then they just started up under a different name.
Uh-oh. Here's a document from 1995, 1996. The U.S. Air Force has a project called 2025.
I don't like where that's going.
It's a study designed to comply with a directive from the Chief of Staff of the Air Force to examine concepts, capabilities, and technologies to use weather as a force multiplying agent by 2025. In 2025, the U.S. Aerospace Forces can, quote, own the weather. This is the year.
Yep. We're there.
We're there.
Whew.
We're there. This is the year they've been saying since we were kids. Okay. All right. Well, that's all I have.
And you know what? I have so much more, but this is gonna have to become a two-parter.
Okay.
I haven't even gotten to the fog and the hail yet.
Oh, no.
So we're gonna cut it off here. Like, you're gonna have to come back next week to hear how much, like, there was so much research on this. Like, I tried trimming and I could not fit this all into one episode. So we're going to have to come back to this. So we're going to stop here.
All right.
Thank you all so much for listening. We appreciate you. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friend about cloud seeding, and hop in those comments. We appreciate you. You can get on the Patreon if you want to help fund this, because there's nobody funding this. YouTube's probably going to shadow ban us. So find us on Rumble too, and download it wherever you get podcasts, and we will be back next week. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Cryptic Accounts is a fan-funded show brought to you by you. Please visit crypticaccounts.com to find out how you can help support the show. Your hosts are Patrick Ryan, Dennis Cheney, and Sam Roach. The show is produced by, and the theme music is written by, Michael Kruger at Birdseye Music. We thank you for listening, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. We'll see you next week. Stay paranoid.